This week I go to Limestone College, we preview softball, and we give a special shout out to our student athletes. Welcome back to GWU Sports with Richard Martin. I'm your host, Richard Martin. There's a lot better way to say that, but I can't think of it right now. But anyway, thank you. After last week's fantastic debut, thank you for watching, for sharing, for liking. Thank you so much. And we're going to be here every single week with Gardner-Webb Sports Action. We start off this week's edition of Gardner-Webb Sports with a new segment called Richard on the Road. Basically, if any Gardner-Webb Sports Action is happening just down the street or a few hours away, I go and see what happens. And this week we caught up with women's lacrosse as they went down to Gaffney, South Carolina to take on the Limestone Saints. Live from Saints Field in Gaffney, South Carolina, this is the first edition of Richard on the Road as the Gardner-Webb women's lacrosse team took on the Limestone College Saints. The Dogs are itching for a fight as this is their first matchup against a team that's not themselves since the fall ball season. We start off quick as 18 seconds into the game, Emma Ruffalo scores the opening goal to give Gardner-Webb the 1-0 lead on the Limestone Saints. Look at this defense. Great defense. Throws it in. Limestone looks for the shot. Cassidy McDowell says, "Get that weak stuff out of here." Later on the restart, number 8, Amanda Steinmuller sends it in, and that cuts the lead 4-2 in favor of the Limestone Saints. Later on now 6-2. Look at the nice footwork right here. Alex Fusco sends it in to cut the lead to 6-3. However, that's as close as the Bulldogs would get. They tried to mount a comeback in the second half, but unfortunately, the Lady Bulldogs were unable to defeat the Limestone Saints as they would fall 17-7 in Gaffney, South Carolina. As you can see the stats, more shots for Limestone and a lot of turnovers for Gardner-Webb, but Jillian Crick was still very proud of the way her team played.
They played really hard. They played really well. I think the positives from it is we had a lot of great moments. We just need to be more consistent with them. And they were connecting on the offense. They were communicating on the defense. You know, we have more numbers, which is great, but you could see on Limestone's team they had, another set of fresh legs, So with that, I think we played. The loss is tough, but I was actually really, really happy with how they started to make their comeback and didn't let the score deter them from their hard work.
Here at Gardner-Webb, winter is starting to come to an end, which means spring sports are starting up. And this week is no exception as the Gardner-Webb softball team looks to begin the 2016 campaign. Last year, the softball team had a tough season, finishing 9th in the Big South Conference, but were able to advance to the third round of the Big South Tournament and were ranked 4th in the conference in batting average. We caught up with head coach Thomas Cole as he talked about the new season. The sweet sound of an aluminum bat. That's right, softball is about to return to Gardner-Webb for 2016, and the Bulldogs can't be more excited to get ready to play on the field.
I think we're definitely going to do a lot better than last year. We've been working really hard. We got to practice a lot more since we have our new facility. So I think it's looking pretty good for us this year.
The new facility is the Brinkley Softball Stadium, part of the softball renovation project that included this new state-of-the-art facility and an indoor batting range. This will give Gardner-Webb its first home game since the 2014 season.
I mean, it's definitely changed our outlook. I know, coming out of practice and stuff, everybody's had, a better attitude. And I just think it's going to help us out. The
Dogs are ready to get onto the field, but so should you. You need to come out to Brinkley Stadium and support the softball team.
We have a lot more home games, and I feel like we're going to do a lot better this year than we have in the past.
The softball team starts off this weekend with a doubleheader on Friday against USC Upstate starting at 2 o'clock. Then this weekend on February 12th and February 13th, they play Austin Peay State, first at 4 p.m. on February 12th and at 1:30 on February the 13th. And finally on February 13th and February 14th, the other GWU, George Washington University, comes to Bowling Springs as the Dogs take on the Colonials starting first at 4 p.m. on the 13th and 1 p.m. on the 14th. This is a new segment called the Weekly Sports Shoutout, where we go look back in the week of Gardner-Webb athletics and shout out to those teams who had fantastic victories and thrilling events in the past week. We start off with the women's basketball team as Candace Brown became the 21st player in Gardner-Webb women's basketball history to have 1,000 career points. Brown was honored at halftime of the game last Monday against Campbell, which the Lady Bulldogs would win 68-56. Out to the wrestling team as they defeated the 24th ranked Duke Blue Devils 19-18 last Wednesday night. Boyce Cornwell's 2-1 victory in the final match of the evening gave the Dogs the much-needed victory on the road in Durham. Shout out to the men's basketball team for defeating rival High Point on the road last Wednesday night. The Dogs shot 57% from the field, and Harold McBride and Adonis Burbage both scored 16 points each as the Dogs ran away with a 79-74 victory. That's it for last week in Gardner-Webb Athletics. Let's go ahead and look at this week's events here at Gardner-Webb University. This week, the women's tennis team is back at home, taking on the North Carolina A&T Aggies on February 8th at the Gardner-Webb tennis courts. And then wrestling returns home for a series of matchups, first February 10th at 7 p.m. in Paul Porter Arena against Davidson. And then finally, they close out the season before the SoCon tournament, February 13th, a doubleheader, first against Cleveland State and then against Ohio University, starting at 12:30 p.m. here at Paul Porter Arena. Don't forget, go to GWUsports.com for more Gardner-Webb sports information. Go to GW-today.com for more news about what's going on at Gardner-Webb. For GW Today, I'm Richard Martin, and see you later, and go Dogs!